I have told this story before, but I think it's appropriate to tell it again to illustrate and demonstrate the significance of what we're going to talk about today. But when I was a little boy growing up in Turner Heights, we used to shoot marbles. And many of you know what marbles is. You put marbles in a ring, get in the dirt, shoot them out of the ring, and the object was to win the marbles. And in shooting marbles, the marble that you used to shoot the marbles out of the ring was called a toy. And when shooting marbles, if you accidentally drop your toy, you could say slippers and shoot again. And there would not be any negative effect of having dropped your toy, unlike playing pool. So all it took for you to correct the error of dropping your toy was saying the word slippers. This is a call to action.
A call to action.
I'm your host, Alex Habersham, and I want to welcome you to our show. We got a very, very important show. And the reason I use that example is because we're going to talk about something that will help you not to drop your toy and emphasize to you that there are some things in life, you know, that you can't just say slippers and erase. So I'm just more than a little humbled to be able to address the subject that all of us ought to be concerned about, which is prostate cancer. And you know, this is going to be a fun show because oftentimes we as men are reluctant to get tested and go to the doctor, and we're scared of the results, not realizing that the results are going to come anyway, and that the sooner that you get tested, the better off you are. So we have these two gentlemen that are here to are gracious enough to come in and talk about prostate cancer, talk about its importance, talk about its prevention, its treatment, and just educate us on prostate cancer and many of the elements that are necessary to understand what's going on. So what I want you to do first is each of you introduce yourselves.
My name is Harry Taylor. I'm a member of the Georgia Prostate Cancer Coalition and also president of the local chapter here in Macon.
Okay.
My name is Charles Krause. I'm a health educator for the Medical Center Navicent Health.
Okay, very good. So who's going to begin talking about prostate cancer, the history, what's going on with prostate?
I'll begin that subject. First, I want to thank you for allowing us to come on the show again. We was here, if my memory's right, back in April of this year.
Right.
And again, we, Georgia Prostate Cancer Coalition, have a mission. And our mission is to eliminate death due to prostate cancer. And again, you say, how will you do that? One way is through awareness. We want to make sure that we put information out for the men to understand the importance of them getting themselves checked on a regular basis. And in doing so, we try to educate them that this is one cancer you can beat, but you got to get it early. You can't wait to get it done. And second, we talked about PSA screening. There's a lot of PSA screening around Macon. We would talk further about that. And just a matter of going in and having a little blood draw. And again, as you said earlier, we use that word, know your scope. You kind of know where you're at, and then what action you need to take. And then thirdly, I would like to say, follow up with your doctor. Once you go to the doctor and he or she has diagnosed whatever it may be, just don't stop there. Follow up with your doctor, and then you can beat that cancer by doing regular checks once a year.
It's my understanding that you got first-hand experience with that.
I have. I'm a prostate cancer survivor. I began my battle back in 2003, had surgery in 2004, and had good results. And I'm thankful for that, you know. And if I had good results, you can have it also, but you can't put it off, you know. You have to do something about it.
Well, how did you discover it? Did you just through regular testing? Or?
During the time, I was getting myself checked every year, like most men go for a physical. And the doctor had noticed that my PSA had begun to elevate. In doing so, I was going in once a year, going in every 6 months. Then I was going in every 3 months. And then during that period, they did a biopsy on me. And then the biopsy had revealed that possible prostate cancer. I also went to 3 different urologists. Not that I was not pleased,
Well, be sure.
but I went with 3 different doctors, and then my last doctor had narrowed it down. But at the same time, he was doing the old-fashioned surgery that we call, and at that time they was doing what we call robotic surgery in Emerald, where they have what we call, Charles can tell you more about. I use joystick, where the guy's over there playing with a little instrument and go in there and do what needs to be done, and I elected to go to Emerald and have that surgery done.
Okay, well, since he called your name, I guess he wants to involve you. So, talk about, not only that process, but, maybe some of the aftermath or what can be done or how possible is it to really be healed, and also talk again about early detection.
Well, I think Harry and I are perfect examples of people that have had prostate cancer and survived and done well. I am also a prostate cancer survivor. I was diagnosed at the age, I had no history of prostate cancer anywhere in my family, and at the time I had a child in kindergarten, I had a child in 2nd grade. And needless to say, my life was turned upside down when the doctor said, you have cancer. But I followed through. I think Harry brought up that point. Sometimes we don't want to follow through because we're afraid of the message or afraid that we may not survive. But I followed through. I had surgery. I've been doing well since 2003. I did have surgery here at the Medical Center in Navicent Health. It was not practical for us to fly away. I had no intention to fly away to another city or another state. I had the surgery right here. I've been doing well. My doctor followed me closely for 5 years. Twice a year he saw me. Then from year 6 to year 11, he saw me once a year, and he has released me. I still have to go to my family practice doctor and have the PSA screening every year for the rest of my life. But it was relatively easy. It was certainly better than dying of prostate cancer. I facilitate a support group. We've been doing this support group since 1995. It meets monthly for men with prostate cancer. And I'm always amazed at the men that come to that support group, the inspiration they are to the other new men recently diagnosed. We do have some men who have died of prostate cancer, not many, but it was not caught early. And I think Harry brought up a good point. The key is early detection and follow through. Find a doctor that you like. Get a second opinion if you want to. Talk to people that have had the disease before by coming to a support group, for example, and then go ahead and follow through. You stand a very good chance of recovery. As a matter of fact, there's one statistic from the American Cancer Society that I love. It says that if you have prostate cancer and it is caught and you receive treatment and it's localized, it is not spread outside the prostate gland, you have a 99% chance of reaching the 5-year survival rate. However, if it has spread and it's gone to distant parts of the body, you have a 28% chance of reaching.
And when you say localized, you mean if it's still contained
Yes, sir.
right there in the prostate.
Inside the prostate
And
gland.
I guess getting tested early influences whether or not it's still localized or it's spread.
Exactly. When this cancer spreads, it likes to go to the lymph nodes in the pelvic region, and it
Wow.
likes to go to the bones. But one of the first things the doctor did, even before I had my prostate gland removed in the operating room, is he removed about 15 lymph nodes from my pelvic region and tested them all. They were all negative, so the surgery continued, and he removed my prostate gland.
Okay, now, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to add, during your journey sometime, men would talk with men, and a lot of times we get bad advice through men, because when I had my journey, the guy said I wouldn't do that, but then if you wouldn't do, what would you do?
Well, you ought to ask them, where did they get that degree from?
Where get your degree from? What would you do? And then you go back and forth. This is why I tell guys all the time, find, and Charles has mentioned that, you find a doctor whom you trust and you have confidence in, and kind of follow the rhythm and read up on information about it yourself. Educate yourself as much as you can. When I began my battle, it wasn't nowhere to turn for me. At least I did not know different avenues, what was out there. But since then, we have Man to Man, we have a Joint Prostate Coalition. Charles Group can put you together with a buddy, and he can tell you his experience, not from a doctor's standpoint, but from his experience, And sometimes those are key ingredients for a person when they're getting ready to have surgery or whatever they elected to have,
That's mighty important. I want to talk about the test, but let's talk about the process of removing it, because oftentimes people are afraid operations, you know, and I understand the technology has changed as it relates to operating on prostate cancer.
The majority of prostate cancer surgeries that are done these days are done with the Da Vinci robot machine. The physician sits at a console, and the machine is actually what cuts you open. It's got very small little ports that it injects into the abdomen. I believe Harry had that type of surgery. And it is really good. There's not a great deal of blood loss. There's not a great deal of scar tissue. I had it the old-fashioned way, where two surgeons with their hands cut me open. My surgery lasted about 4 hours. The vast majority of people that have surgery these days have the robot-assisted surgery.
Oh, that's outstanding.
And joining the man group would help you because I do know that the man group, which Charles referring to, which meet every first Tuesday of the month at the Wellness Center on Northside Drive, we have looked at various tape that show that surgery procedure. And, you know, when you can see things and kind of put yourself in that, you know, this type of surgery that I'll be having, you know, it kind of puts you at ease, you know. And again, my downtime was about 5 weeks. I would say 4 weeks. I was ready to go back, but I realized that there are more healing needs to be done, you know. 5.5 weeks, I was kind of like back to myself, you know.
Right,
and that was a good surgery procedure that I had, you know.
Right.
But again, picking the right doctor is one key ingredient, you know.
Right.
And make sure you do some homework on it and not just think about I'm going to have surgery tomorrow and go and get it done. You know?
Okay, well, when we come back, we're going to talk about if there are the signs, or if there are any early signs of prostate cancer, and whether or not the PSA, you know, incidentally, we got good news. We're going to have a PSA performed before the show is over. So, you know, we're going to take a break. So if you need to go get some water, you better go and hurry back, because we want to show you exactly how simple it is. This is a call to action.
A call to action.
I'm your host, Alex Habersham, interviewing these two fine gentlemen, and we're talking about you're not getting prostate cancer. Maybe they didn't hear it. We're talking about you're not getting prostate cancer. And we're talking about if you do have it, you know, you need to find out early. Then early detection is the key. We'll be right back. We're back with Mr. Charles Krause and Mr. Harry Taylor, two fine young men who have experienced prostate cancer and who have been healed from it, and who very graciously have agreed to educate us on it and to encourage us to get tested, particularly all their brothers. You know, it's my understanding that African American males are more likely to get prostate cancer than its counterpart. Talk about that, Harry.
You know, statistics shows that the numbers are there, and I begin to think about that. I said cholesterol, that's a number. If you look at high blood pressure, that's a number. Well, prostate cancer is that number also. And the number we look at in prostate cancer is if your score get up above 4, and maybe an indication for further testing. But getting back to statistics shows 1 out of 7 men will get prostate cancer. That comes from American Cancer Society and National Cancer Institute and others. It also shows that 1 out of 5 African Americans get prostate cancer. Georgia is 4th in the nation in prostate cancer. This year it shows that 750 men in Georgia will die from prostate cancer. Nationwide, about 27,000 men will die from prostate cancer. And you ask yourself, why is that occurring? A lot of that has to do when it comes to, I say, men of African American, is I think because we elect not to go to the doctor, or we're afraid to go to the doctor. And there's many reasons for that. But I often show men there are many free screening that is done.
You can't put it on money.
And you can't put it on money.
Right.
Now that's the upcoming screening, which is September 17th, which is a few weeks away. That normally is sponsored through what we call the Ironman Health Fair. Jimmy Mills is founder of that group. And that will be at the former Ballard Hudson Promise Center on Anthony Road. It's now, I think, the Central Georgia Technical College up on the hill there. They be doing PSA as well as blood sugar tests, cholesterol check, and other tests. And that is free. All you got to do is get there and get it done. So that's not an excuse for that one. Charles will talk about another health fair coming up. Again, that is free. So there's health fair around the city that is free. Now, recently, our group was granted $5,000 through the Peyton Anderson Foundation. We thank that foundation for that money. And what our goal is to try to do more screening at local events. There's a lot of churches that's doing health fairs, and we're grateful for that. And we hope that we can offer them a PSA test while we're doing it. We're still trying to work out some logistics as to how we're going to get the PSA done, but the money's there, and it's just working out who we can get to do that for us. And hopefully we have all that done before the end of this year. And when churches call and say they want to do a health fair, we would kind of give them a number as to what we would like to see them have, at least 25 men's there, simply because you got to pay somebody to come in and do the stick, And if they can do that, we'll come in and do the blood work free. It'll go off to the lab, come back to them as what the results are.
Wow.
So again, that's free. It's just a matter of you getting there and getting it done.
Wow. Talk a little bit more about the event that you have coming up.
On September 24th, the Medical Center Navicent Health will be sponsoring the Men's Health Fair. We've been doing it for about 12 years now. It's one of our most successful health fairs. And when I first proposed this a dozen years ago, people said, oh, men aren't going to come out. But that health fair has consistently had high numbers of men that do come. We have lots of free screenings. It's Saturday, September 24th at the main campus, the Macon campus of Central Georgia Technical College in Building H. We open up the doors at 7 o'clock in the morning. We will close at 12 noon. We will be doing the PSA screenings. Angio screens will be offered. Cholesterol, glucose, height, weight, vision, hearing. Plus, we will have educational seminars where men could learn about, we'll have a class entitled Men in AIDS, Men in Cardiovascular Health, Men in Cancer, Men in Diabetes, and Men in Stress. And that, again, is Saturday, September 24th from 7 until 12 noon. If you don't mind, I'd like to talk about another program that we offer for men who are diagnosed with prostate cancer, and it is called the Men to Men Support Group. We've been doing that for about 21 years. An associate of mine, Jack Couch, who is a volunteer, and I have been the facilitators for that monthly support group. It meets always on the first Tuesday of each month at 7 p.m. at the Wellness Center on Northside Drive, and we have a speaker come this coming month. We will have a physician come. And we generally average between 10 to 15 people. We offer free sandwiches. There is no charge. Men frequently bring their wives or significant others. And it is an opportunity for men recently diagnosed, as well as men who were diagnosed a while ago, to come. One of the things that we do with the men-to-men support group is we have a buddy system. And men who are part of the buddy system have had different types of treatments. Surgery is not the only type of treatment that someone could have for prostate cancer. But we have men in the support group, and they will be a buddy to a newly diagnosed man. For example, someone might be leaning towards seed implants, but we have guys that are buddies that have had seed implants. Someone might be leaning towards active surveillance or watchful waiting. We have guys that are doing that and have been doing that for 2 or 3 years. They're not actively being treated on the advice of their physician, but they're watching their scores closely. So we have the buddy system. It's part of the men-to-men support group, and it's always rewarding to me professionally to see recently diagnosed men and their wives come in an absolute tailspin because they've been told of the cancer diagnosis. And then the guys in the support group are very helpful, and they just kind of like flock around and help them and answer their questions, and you can just see the stress leave the person's face. So we do have that program that's available, and the Medical Center Navicent Health also has another program that Amy, who will be our nurse that will actually draw our blood later, she is the person who does this program. It's called Prostate Cancer 101. We do that every month, and it's free. And people who are recently diagnosed are welcome to come to that. They get a free lunch. They're welcome to bring their spouse. It is always on the second Monday of every month at 12 noon. And an oncology nurse will talk about the different treatment options that someone may have if they've been recently diagnosed.
Outstanding. I got a question. Are there any, like in some illnesses, there are like early warning signs? Other than the PSA, are there any indicators that, you may have or lifestyles,
Okay.
which might contribute.
I'm gonna begin that by saying, for myself, I did not have, and they talks about you could have, like if you go to the bathroom, slow urine, you can't go to the bathroom, such as that, back problems, such as that. But I did not have any symptom at all, except for the PSA. That's all I had. If I had not been going to the doctor on a regular basis, and as
You
my,
might not be
as
sitting
my
there.
PSA continued to elevate, and I have not known that, and as you said, you were right. I may not be sitting here. Now, for my father back some years ago, he began to have bleeding problem. I can talk about my father, bleeding problem. But I think this was ongoing for my dad. He was a widow, and he and my brother shared the house together, and he just didn't talk about it. And that may be for a lot of men, that may be something they just don't talk about it. But symptoms like anything else, it just don't go away. If you cut your hand, it become infested and swell all up and pus get in it, whatever. It just don't go away. Sometimes you gotta do something about it,
Right.
Or you may wind up losing that hand,
Right.
And I kind of equate that to prostate cancer, If you don't do anything about it, and some guys, they kind of laugh about it, we're not gonna do anything about it, well, and I'll just kind of leave it with them, brother, you may not be here with us. Because it may get the best of you at the end, but you may not die right away. You may have to go through a lot of more health issues before that time,
Right,
And actually, in
Yeah.
2003, when I was diagnosed, I did have symptoms, in which, a strange sort of way, I'm glad. I was lucky that I had symptoms. In my case, I had some blood in my urine. And I went to my family practice doctor. She prescribed some antibiotics. She did not perform the PSA that very first time, but I went back. I had more blood in my urine. She said, we're going to do a PSA, and it was slightly abnormal. So she prescribed some more antibiotics. Then I had more blood in my urine, and this is between January of 2003 and April of 2003. So I was referred to a specialist. A urologist is the type of doctor that takes care of a man with prostate cancer. And he said, well, it's probably nothing. I heard this all the time. It's probably nothing, but we're going to follow through and do a PSA again. My score was again slightly above normal. I was 47 years old, no family history. They said, oh, you probably don't have prostate cancer. But we're going to do one more test. We're going to put you in the hospital. We're going to do a biopsy. And then he came back. I was positive for prostate cancer. But I did follow through. And it's one of the pieces of advice I give gentlemen is do follow through with your doctor. Don't write it off. And don't say, I'm not going back because it's probably nothing. If I had said that, I also would not be sitting here.
Okay, well, we're getting close to the time where we're going to perform the test. And you said her name is Amy? What's the name?
Amy.
Amy, yeah. Amy is warming up so she could come and perform. We really want to show you how simple this is. This is a call to action.
A call to
I'm
action.
your host, Alex Habersham. We'll be right back. We're back. It really gives me a great feeling, to be able to do something that can make a difference and that will make a difference. I'm sure. And let me say this while I'm thinking about it, and I'm sure that Charles and Harry will agree with me. For those of you who are females, and you've got uncles and granddaddies and husbands and sons, then you should encourage them to get tested, because obviously, particularly with African Americans, we just kind of shy away from it.
That's the key, the women to get those guys out.
Yeah. And
They're
then,
gonna get that test done,
it's better to be safe than sorry. And we're so happy to have Miss Amy, RN, who's going to show you exactly how simple it is. So she's preparing to do a PSA. Now, so what does PSA mean?
Prostate-specific antigen.
Antigen. So people have been saying analysis, but
It is antigen.
it's antigen. See, I didn't know that, so I learned something today myself. So Amy's going to perform it, and the purpose of doing this on air is to show men, Harry, that it's a simple test.
Simple test, yeah.
It's a very simple test. You just draw a little blood, and then what happens after they draw the blood?
Actually, the blood tubes go to the lab, a report is issued by the lab, it is reviewed by a nurse practitioner, a physician's assistant, or a doctor, then it is mailed to the man.
Okay, so whoever is, the testee receives, his results.
In the mail, probably
In the
10 to
mail.
14 days later.
Yeah, okay. And it's good to know, it's comforting to know, you all, because if you got it, then you can, if it's detected, you can get treatment early, Harry.
That's right.
And then, and it greatly enhances your chance of survival. I understand there's something going on with the school.
Yeah, something going on, I want to mention that this is the third year, the Georgia High School Association has what we call approved Blue Week. Blue Week is where 402 schools will participate in September, which is the 19th through the 23rd, and they will talk about prostate cancer. This year in Macon-Bibb County, Eddie Ashley, who is the athletic director, have talked with his coaches, and they will be geared up. But the referee would have the wristband, they would also have the flag and all, and they would have a moment where they would talk about prostate cancer. And the whole thing is trying to encourage the parents to, the students maybe to go back home and talk with dad, talk with uncle, talk with brother, about make sure they got an annual check. Now last year, Charles and I was able to go into all 6 high schools in Macon-Bibb County and talk with the students. I realize these students are underage, but the idea behind that is them to go home and have some dialogue with their male figure in their household and ask them that question: have you got yourself checked?
Right.
And if not, we have a little playbook we gave them so we can tell them the importance of them getting themselves checked
Right.
at an early age. So we want them to be around and see those kids graduate, walk their daughter down the aisle, and
Right.
take that kid to college, and do all those things
Right,
that a
right.
male need to be here to do,
Right.
And that's the reason for that.
Well,
So,
that's
so
very,
we're
very
thankful for
important.
Bibb County being part of that
Yeah.
endeavors this year.
That's important, and I'm just so happy that your organization and Navicent and other organizations throughout, she's pulling the blood, She's pulling, you don't have it yet, do you?
I'm done.
Oh, are you? Wow.
Simple.
That just shows exactly how simple it is. I mean, I couldn't even check with Harry for 2 or 3 minutes without
And
the
I
whole,
even show them the blood too, if you don't mind,
the whole process.
Yeah, just simple test. Simple test. No hurt, no nothing, just a little needle stick and done.
A little pinch, and that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And then you'll know.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's absolutely outstanding. That we're gonna wrap this thing up in a minute. I want you all to talk about those events, but we'll be right. This is a call to action.
A
call to action.
I'm your host, Alex Habersham, with Amy and Charles and Harry. We'll be right back. We're back. As I said previously, this is a show about prostate cancer. The treatment, the prevention, the effect, and the support that are available for individuals who happen to be a part of it, and for individuals who are not necessarily a part of it, because whether you're a part of it or not, the only way you'll know is to get tested. So what we've done is we perform what's the name of that thing?
PSA,
I know, what does that mean?
prostate-specific antigen.
Prostate specific antigen. He thought I couldn't say it. So I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy that we were able to do this, to educate the public. And there are a couple of other events. You can't learn everything here, but there are going to be a couple of events coming up. Harry, you do your first, and then Charles, you go ahead and do very quickly.
Yeah, September 17th at the Promise Center, which is the Old Ballon Hudson. We're having a health fair from 10 to 2. PSA will be doing another test, so be there. All this is free. All you gotta do is come out.
And the men's health fair sponsored by Navicent Health will be September 24th. It's at the main campus, Central Georgia Technical College, 7 a.m. until 12 noon. PSA and a dozen other screenings will be offered.
This is a call to action.
A
Call to
action.
I'm your host, Alex Habersham. Get tested.
www.makingblackpages.com